Okay, we're back. So we titled this Garmin, what do you think that's called? Garmin Xero, Vicki?
I think so.
Because we haven't got it yet. I would say, well over a month ago, we were out shooting and we were using our normal Oler 35Ps, and we were not getting chronograph readings because we had poor light and because of where it was that we were shooting. And so a bunch of guys in the comments said, hey, you got to get one of these Garmin's because they're really great. And we're like, okay, let's do that. So we went to Midway and got on there and ordered it, right? That was more than a month ago now, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
It was more than a month ago. It's still never come. So Vicki got on Midway's site yesterday or the day before yesterday, and it said at least 2 more weeks. And there's no guarantee that you're going to get it then, because we don't know in what order the orders are being filled. We don't know what order the orders are being filled in. So we don't know whether we'll have it or not. So it could be 6 weeks, it could be 2 months. And that is a segue into availability. So guys that have been down the custom rifle road before understand, at least to some degree, how this works. So we have no control over components, right? When a guy decides he wants to order a custom rifle and he calls someone like me or someone, you know, Gordy Gritters or someone like that, and is going to place an order, and he has an idea in his head what he wants, generally the first thing they do is send a deposit. So we get a deposit, then we have to get on the phone with the fella, and we have to create a work order. So that is what barrel, what stock, what receiver, what trigger, all the different components that we're going to need. As soon as possible, with the only exception being unless we're trying to combine an order. Say we're trying to combine a barrel order or a stock order, but within as soon as possible, normally, as soon as we have that work order complete, we send it. We send it to Bartland, we send it to Krieger, we send it to McMillan, whatever, to get it in the pipeline as soon as possible. All right, but from that moment on, we basically have zero control over anything that happens. So we send them the order, and normally within, what do you think, about a week or so, we'll get a confirmation, right?
Right.
We get a confirmation that says, okay, you ordered this, you ordered this, you ordered this. But that's the last point of contact that we have with any of the component manufacturers until it shows up at the door. And I mean that literally. We have no clue. Like, you order a receiver, it shows up when it shows up. You order a barrel, whatever, it shows up when it shows up. So, like, for instance, right now I have a fella, doesn't matter, I have a customer who has just called me recently, and he's like, well, where are you at in the process? And I'm like, haven't started anything. And he's like, why haven't you started anything? I'm like, because I have a receiver, I have a stock, I believe I have the trigger also, I have no barrels. I haven't had barrels in quite a long time. When I say I have no barrels, I actually have a lot of barrels. I probably got 50, 60 barrels. But that doesn't mean I have the right barrel. It has to be the right length, the right diameter, the right caliber, the right twist, fluted, not fluted, cryoed, not cryoed. I mean, I could have 1,000 barrels and I still might not have the exact barrel that I'm going to need for the exact project that I'm building. So anyways, you know, I say that to the guy. I say, we have no control over it. He's like, well, when are you going to know? We aren't going to know. We don't know. We put in the order, it shows up when it shows up. Now, for instance, right now in this shop at this moment, I have 4 bat receivers. I didn't dig into the pile. I've got at least 6, 7, 8 stocks. I have many different triggers. I have a whole bunch, like I said, of barrels, but not the right barrels. And I can't work on any of the projects that guys are waiting on right now. Just because I have a receiver, I might not have the right stock. Just because I have the right stock, I might not have the right barrel. I mean, I have to have everything, all of the components for the entire project before I start. And then once all that gets here, by the way, we let people know. As soon as stuff shows up, we send them an email. I've said this before, by the way. We send them an email, we phone them, whatever. We contact them, text them. I actually do that now. And we let them know that we have everything and we're starting. And the reason we do that is so that they're not caught by surprise, like, oh my God, I mean, now I owe for a rifle. All I'm trying to say is we have no control over the process. Oh, and he brought something up that I have heard so many times. Okay, so we send in the order, we're waiting, just like everybody else. And the guys will call me and say, do you need more money? It's hilarious. They're like saying, do you need more money? Would that influence the outcome? Trust me, I don't care if you're a multi-millionaire or if you just crawled out of a cardboard box under a bridge. I guarantee you, you're not getting your barrel 1 minute faster, whether you're rich or whether you're poor. Because, I mean, even if I want one, if I call up Frank Green and say, Frank, I need this for me, my own personal barrel, he'll be like, we'll put you on the list, and that's it. And you might not hear from them for a month, 6 months, a year, okay? So we have no control over it. I need to make that super clear. All right, now, what we want to talk about here today is actually going to be pretty interesting. So this is the 338 Lapua 30 degree improved that we've been working with, and I mentioned last time, I think last time when we were out shooting, that we're going to show how that we have dies and die sets that are considerably less expensive than doing it the right way. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, I'll tell you what the right way is to do it. The right way to do it is take your brand new brass, get it all prepared, load ammo with the bullets as long as you can get them, into the rifle with as tight a neck tension as you can have, put them in the gun and shoot them, blow them out, okay? Take them back out of the gun, load them again without a die. Don't let a die touch them in any way, shape, or form. Load them again, put them back in the gun, shoot them again. That'd be one shot, one time fired, 2 time fired. If they'll go back in the gun without a die, don't touch them with a die. Load them again, put them back in the gun. Continue that process until they start to get tight, okay? Now I want to show you something. So we showed this out in the field last time. So these six right here, they were new, then they were loaded and fired, and then they were loaded and fired again, okay? That's where they've been. And so I want to show you something. You see that? They go back in. I mean, there's some resistance on there. By the way, I have the firing pin removed. There it is, just dropping, right? Okay, put it in there. Push that in. That's what it's like. So this individual case could easily be loaded again and fired even one more time. So that would be, I guess that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 firings. It doesn't matter. What matters is you keep loading. Say you start with like 6 or 8 of them. You keep loading them and firing them till they really don't want to go back into the chamber. Then you take those fired cases, don't ever touch them with the die. Take those fired cases, send them to Alan Warner at Warner Tool in New Hampshire and say, make me an awesome set of dies. And he will. A full length set of dies. And really I don't want to get too deep into that. It can be full length with the neck dimensions already in the die. It could be full length with a bushing neck die, or it could be full length without touching the neck. I mean, it gets in really deep into all this stuff. That's one of the reasons why Wildcats are a little bit more advanced than just normal reloading. But anyways, that is if money is not an issue, That's the way to do it. Just keep firing, say the same 6 pieces of brass over and over and over again until finally they don't want to go back into the gun because they are fully formed by that point. Send them to somebody who really knows how to make a really great set of dies, have that set of dies made, and then just full length size them every single time. Anneal, full length resize. Anneal, full length resize. Who knows? With this real Lapua brass, it might last forever. Literally forever. You might get so many firings out of it you wouldn't even believe it. So that's the expensive way. And that is, in quotations, the right way. But there's another way. And another way is to try to do it the poor man way, right? The cheap man way. I wouldn't say cheap. I would just say somebody who doesn't have unlimited resources, right? Because those Warner dies are really expensive. Now, they're really awesome also. So what do we have here? We have the way that I've been doing it, because I don't have a set of those Warner dies for this reamer, for this 338 Lapua 30 degree improved. I do not have a set. So how do I load these? Okay, so before I do that though, I want to stop just for 1 second. I want to digress just for 1 second. This right here, so that way I can get this out of the way. This is 33XC, right? And you run into the same exact problem with all these big cartridges is it becomes all specialized stuff. Specialized dies, specialized everything. So for 33XC, if you're going to trim it in your Wilson case trimmer, watch this. Show them that, Vicki. Look at that. It fits perfect. But what you might notice is it does not say 33XC. It says L.E. Wilson 378-460 Weatherby Magnum. Again, if you can read it, great. If you can't, just take my word. But 378-460 Weatherby Magnum Wilson case holder for the trimmer fits perfect. I mean, it couldn't be any better than that. I mean, it's really awesome. So I just wanted to show you that to get that out of the way. But again, that's a poor man's way of getting around a specific problem that you encounter with these bigger cases. All right, so I'll get that out of the way. All right, now, when you do 338 Lapua improved, obviously, hopefully it's obvious, you start with just regular, brand new, out of the box 338 Lapua. Let's just say Lapua from now on. That's how it's really pronounced. 338 Lapua brass. So you just start with a brand new piece of brass. Now, you have to load this, right? So the least expensive way to load 338 Lapua would be with these right here. Okay? Hopefully you can see that. This is RCBS full-length die set, 338 Lapua. And that's the part number right there. Okay, so in this set, you get a bullet cedar die and a full-length sizing die, right? Pretty much what you're concerned with, though, because this is brand new brass, is you're just concerned with this brand new brass having a way to seat bullets, okay? And that works, right? We're going to have to jump around here quite a bit. Now, I want to show you something else. This is another option. This is RCBS Matchmaster full-length bushing. It's a bushing die set, not a neck die set, bushing set, right? 338 Lapua, and that's the part number for it. So, same thing. And what's nice about these is this comes with a micrometer top and a sliding sleeve, right? Okay. So obviously, that's made for that. So you can seat bullets just like that, right? Okay. All right, here's the issue. Oh, and by the way, so if you're going to be trimming these, this is an L.E. Wilson, and it says 30/338 Lapua on it. It goes in that way. And look, same deal. You know, it fits perfect. And of course, because that's a very popular cartridge, and so they make those. They're not very expensive at all, right? All right, here's the issue though. Say you don't do anything to it. You put a primer in it, let's just say it's not turned neck, it'll be easier. Put a primer in it, put powder in it, seat the bullet way out, way long, and have as much neck tension as you can. Put it in the gun and fire it, right? And so it goes in like this, and I've showed this before. It comes out like this, right? It goes in like this, comes out like this. Well, the main issue that we're dealing with is diameter. Mostly it's the diameter. Yes, you're changing the shoulder angle and everything, but mostly it's because it's larger diameter. So what I want to show you here is this. Watch this. So this is the trimmer I just showed. It says 3338 Lapua on it, right? So look, that goes in there perfect, like it should, because that's what it's made for. Here's the problem. Whoop. Here's the problem. Look. Won't go in at all. Won't even hardly start in there at all. So let's just cover this problem first. So how do we trim this, right? So unless you have a custom L.E. Wilson 338 Lapua 30 degree blah blah blah, unless you have that, you have no way of trimming these now. Now here's what's cool. Look at this. All right, again, it's just a way of solving problems. This says L.E. Wilson 338 Norma, new case. So watch. Okay, it goes in there, and you definitely could use it. You could use it like that. I don't really like it that much. It just so happens that I have both. So this says the exact same thing, 338 Norma. This does not say it, but this must be fired case because, look at that. Look at that. Fits, I mean, same deal. Couldn't be any better. So the thing is, you don't need to get a custom L.E. Wilson case holder because the 338 Norma, and again, it doesn't say it on it, but obviously this is bigger. So sometimes they say on them new case, fired case. This should say fired case because obviously this one says new case. They just didn't stamp it, I would say. But it works perfect. I mean, like, not just almost good. I mean, how could it be any better? That's just exactly perfect. Okay, so that solves one issue. Here's the problem, though. Now, say that you loaded them as original brass, right? Now you put them in the gun, you fired them one time, you've blown them out. Now, you want to load them again, but you don't want to touch the case. So again, you've got to make sure that it'll go back, right? So you fired it in there, you take it, run it back in, and see what you have, right? So you run it back in, and look, that goes in there like nothing, even though it's blown out, because it's only been fired one time. And you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to set this aside, because I don't want to get mixed in. We'll use these, because these are, like I said, I think these are 3 times fired, and you can see there's some resistance on there, right? All right, so now, how are you going to, you use normal, inexpensive dies. Oh, by the way, I should have showed this too, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here. This is the set that I use. When I'm loading normal 338 Lapua ammo, this is the set of dies I use. And here, look in here for a second. The thing is, these are not inexpensive either. These things are like, I don't know what, $300 now. So you get a bullet seeder die, a body die, and then a bushing neck die, right? There's no full-length die in this set. But here's the issue with it, okay? And this is what I normally use. Here's the issue. Now the brass, that can't, make sure this goes back in this pile, Vicki. This has been fired 3 times, I think. So here's the issue. Watch with all these different sets. Okay? Come on, Vicki. So this is the bullet seeder. This is the normal 338 Lapua bullet seeder. Watch. See, it won't go in. It will not go in. Here's the original brass. Obviously, it'll go in because that's what it's made for. But this one that's been fired multiple times, it will not go in there. So you can't use that die. All right, well, that's an issue. And here, if you were over here in the Redding set, same deal. It's not even going to go close. There's no way you could see the bullet with that, right? And so then you're like, crap, okay. what am I going to do? How am I going to do this, right? So set these two aside. Now look what this is. Watch. See that? It goes in. And look what this is. This is 338, 378 Weatherby. This is a Weatherby set. And so you can definitely, excuse me, you can definitely seat bullets with that, because I did it. Okay, I did it. Now I don't like this style of a die, all right? But it definitely will work. Say that you're just, all you're trying to do is get 4 or 6 or 8 pieces, 10 pieces of brass fired as many times as you can to then get the really expensive dies, or you could just stick with this, but this is how you could do it. It's one way that you can do it, right? Okay, but look and see something else here, all right? This is the RCBS set, the more expensive one with the floating sleeve in it. Watch. See? You could seat bullets with that also, okay? And it'll work just fine, all right? Now, obviously though, before you seat bullets, you're going to have to knock the primer out, right? So you'll hear me say in a lot of other videos, you use a dedicated decap die, right? So I want to show what that is. So look here. The Redding one is this. All it is a decap. It's a decap pin on a rod, right? And I actually kind of don't want to take this out of here. Let me see if I can get it out. No, I have to go the other way with it, and I don't want to. The point is, that fits in there, no problem, right? This is the old Sinclair part number. I don't know if that's what the new Brownell's part number is or not, okay? But that is one option, right? To knock out primers. So I'll set that over there. Here, I want you to look at this option. Okay, that's a dedicated RCBS decap die. So watch this. So look, I already took the guts out of it, right? And I want you to notice now, this is a decapping pin, but there is no expander ball. Here, look. Here's one with an expander ball. No expander ball. All right? But the main issue is, will this improved piece of brass, fired brass, will it fit in? And the answer is, look at that. It actually fits really good. I mean, that's a good fit, and that's a relatively inexpensive set of dies to decap. And you can decap anything with that. But the fact is that it'll work on this is great. So you got to get the primers out, right? So dedicated die. Don't touch the brass itself. All right, now what I want to show you also though is, so that will work. That one won't. This will. Watch. So now we're here. We're back over at this more expensive, the Matchmaster set. Watch. So it comes with 2. So this is a bushing. Is it a full length? Do they call this full length? Yes. Full length bushing die. So will that go in there? Look, it will. Okay. Oh, wait. God, I gotta be clear on what I'm trying to tell them there. It wouldn't when it came here. Sometimes I lose track because this is a lot of stuff, okay? When it came here, the original factory case would go right in, right? Just like it should, all right? And like I said, they give you two decapping and or expander balls, right? This one has no expander ball. This one has an expander ball on it. That pin can be taken out of this one and put in this one. So you could use that die also just to decap and nothing else. But that's not where we're going with this. All right, so put that back down. When this die came, when this set came, the regular factory brass would go in. But obviously the improved, I hope it's obvious, the improved wouldn't. So the question is, how did we get that to do that, right? And so I chucked this in the lathe and I used a brand new carbide tool because I wasn't certain how hard these are. I think these are chrome lined, is what I think. Because what came out of there was not chips, it was flakes. It flaked out. And then eventually, though, as I started to get through the flakes, it actually did start to make very small chips. But I reached inside there with a long boring bar, right? I reached way inside there, and I touched up inside and zeroed everything up, and then I just started making very fine passes, like half a thou passes, till I started to get through that, what I believe is hard chrome. And I got this die to accept the blown out piece of brass, which, I mean, that's a really great thing, because then you can use this die. Watch this. Again, I know this is getting confusing. These are Redding bushings, all right, which I have zillions of them. Look how this works. The Redding bushing is exactly the same dimensions as the RCBS bushings, and it fits perfectly into the die. So what that allows you to do, think about this now. You can put these guts back in here, right? And you could decap with it. And you would not be touching the brass. And if you want more neck tension only, because watch this. When that goes up in there, it's stopping on the shoulder. Now, obviously, the shoulder angles are different, because the angle on a brand new piece of brass and this are considerably different. That's like, I think that's 20 degrees approximately, and this is 30. So you can't really use it to bump shoulders. But what you can do is, you can get your right neck bushing, drop it down in there, set it up so that you can feel it, right? So that, and really the best way to do that is, again, I'm getting in deep here. The best way to do it is put this on your shell holder on top of the ram, run it to the top, screw the die down until you see it touch the case. When it just barely touches the case, just either stop there or back off just a hair. Then take your bushing, drop it down in, put the bushing holder in, and boy, I've said this a million times in other videos. Run that down until you feel it touch, and then back it off. Do not capture the bushing, because if you capture the bushing, you're going to end up with other concentricity problems. Back it off a little bit so that the bushing can float. Then you can run that thing up in there, and you can size your necks. All right? So think about this now. So we have a way to knock out the primer without touching the case. Okay? Then we have a way to size our necks without touching the case, without touching anything on the case except for the actual neck. All right? Then we have a way, with this, we have a way to seat bullets. Right? So we can seat bullets even though it's an improved case. By the way, and I want to tell a little story right here. These bushings, and there's no way on earth you're going to be able to see this, but they say, where'd my glasses go? Those little sliders in there say on them what they are. This one says, you'll never be able to see it, Vicki. This one says 338 LAP RCBS. That's what that one says on it. Okay? A lot of guys don't know this. See this set screw? You can take that set screw out. You can pull all the guts up out of the inside of this. These bushings, no, not bushings, they're sliders. I guess we'll call them sliders, are interchangeable. So you can have one that says 338. You can have one that says 30. You could have one that says 284. You can buy these in whatever size you want. The only thing where you'll run into an issue is the actual, that silver part, the actual seating stem, they have different diameters in them also. So you can't make too big of a jump, right? You can't be like, you can't use say a 30 caliber to be seating 25 caliber bullets. I mean, it might work, but you're probably going to have run out issues. Anyways though, you can buy these. And I had one of these from a long time ago. I was digging around in my die sets, and it said RCBS 338, and it actually said Lapua on it, I think. I think it said that. I should have brought it. But anyways, I tried to use it in a different die body to seat bullets. And the case didn't want to go up in it. So I started measuring everything. Guess what? It was 8mm, which I think is 310. I think is .310, not .338. Anyways, it was 8mm. I looked it up and I compared. So they had mismarked it. And the only reason I'm telling you that is it's you know, people make mistakes. That's not the issue. The issue is check everything. That's the issue. Because if you would have tried to jam that in there, you would have caused problems. You probably would have collapsed the case. So anyways, now let's think about this again. Back over this. So without spending a fortune on dies, we have a way to load original 338 Lapua ammo. Okay, fairly inexpensive. Or if you want to get the Redding set, more expensive but really nice dies. All right. Then, after it's been fired one time, after it's been blown out, we have a way of trimming them using these 338, these L.E. Wilson 338 Norma shell holders. We have a way of knocking out primers with dedicated decap dies, which again, these are not very expensive. We have a way to knock out the primer. We have a way, because I reached inside here and altered this, we have a fairly inexpensive way of using neck bushings to get our neck tension, whatever we want. Oh, and by the way, I should bring that up also, before I'll lose track here, but you want as much neck tension as you can get, and you want the bullet as long as you can get. Hopefully this was implied, because it's an improved cartridge. So we want to hold the case head, the actual case head, against the face of the bolt, right? We want it to hold it against the face of the bolt so that when it's in the gun and it's in battery, we want this held as tight against the face of that bolt as possible, right? And then we're talking about with the new brass, because there's no shoulder to hold it in place. So if you give it a lot of neck tension, and if you seat your bullets really long, when the firing pin comes forward and hits the primer, hopefully it won't drive the case forward. Now again, it's too much to go into. It does a little bit. It still moves it ahead a little wee bit. And there's a way to get around that also, but it's creating false shoulders on the neck and stuff. It's way too deep for most people. The point is, if you run heavy neck tension and bullets out, jammed into the rifling, so that literally when you close the bolt, you've got some resistance on there, you'll be fine. Okay, you'll be absolutely fine. It'll cause no problems. But we have a way then to do everything. We have a way to load them as original brass, to reload them as once fired, to reload them again as 2 times fired, to reload them again as 3 times fired, to continue doing that until they won't go back in the gun, until there's so much bolt resistance they won't go back in the gun. At that point, you have 2 choices. Either that brass becomes trash, or you have a custom-made full-length sizer die. And if you have that, then you can just keep on shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting forever. I mean, until the brass literally work hardens so bad that it starts to split and stuff like that. And if you're annealing them, that is not going to happen either. So they might literally last almost forever. The question then becomes, though, I guess, is it worth it? Is it worth it to spend a lot of money on a really good set of custom dies, or, you know, chuck your brass after, who knows, 3, 4, maybe 5 firings? You might get 5 firings out of it without ever doing anything to it. And if you also remember when we were out shooting, these 6 that I've been shooting over and over again, the groups kept getting smaller. And I would say eventually this gun's going to be an absolute one-hole gun, because we haven't done any load work. I mean, we've just put powder in it. Oh, wait, one more thing. I know this has been a lot. One more thing. I've done a lot of Wildcats over the years, lots and lots, but usually it's years between them. Like I'll do a 243 Ackley improved, or a 22-250 Ackley improved, or a 280 Ackley improved before you could buy brass for it, when it was still a Wildcat. Anyways, I've done a bunch of Wildcats, and inevitably, when it comes time to put the powder in to blow them out the first time, I always err on not enough powder. Because you think about it, and don't quote me on these numbers because I don't know, but say like normal 338 Lapua with a 300 grain bullet, you're only going to be putting like 85 grains of powder in there, depending on what it is. Again, this is not loading advice right here. But I have found that working with lots of Wildcats, that usually the powder charge to blow the brass out is not very much reduced from the actual charge that you're going to be using once the brass has been blown out. And like I said, invariably, I always start low. It's like, oh, you got to be safe, right? Be safe. And you don't get, they don't form fully, they don't form nice, okay? It's going to take multiple firings anyways. But all I'm saying is when we took this out to shoot it the first time, we were only getting like 2,700 feet a second, right? Vicky, are you there?
Yep.
I think we were getting like 2,700 feet a second, blowing them out the first time. All right, then when I went back in to reload them, geez, I jumped like 8 or 9 grains of powder, and there still wasn't any pressure. There was no pressure whatsoever. So it's just something I've observed is that usually the powder charge that you're going to use to blow them out is not the same. It's going to be reduced, but it's actually pretty close to whatever the maximum is, whatever the maximum thing is. And it must be, and I'm just assuming, it must be because it's using up some of that energy to form the case. You know what I mean? You're completely changing the case, and so some of that is being used up, and it's not really transferring into pressure. In other words, bolt lift pressure, or, you know, pressure that we have obvious signs of, okay? So, I don't know. I think that's all of that. So, before we close this up, I want her to show these again. You should look at all these different dies right here, because so they can see. So they can see what it is. Here, bring that in here. So that they can actually see the part numbers. Because it's a pretty good way of doing it. It really is. I mean, it definitely works. I've used this threading set right here. I have loaded so many regular 338 Lapuas with that set of dies. Holy cow, a lot. And then here's this. And again, for the money, this is actually a pretty nice set of dies. It really is. The only thing is, unless you have a lathe, unless you have carbide tooling, or better, I mean diamond tooling, you're not going to be able to go inside this die and open it up to the diameter you're going to need. But all the other parts work great. So, oh yeah, and this too. Same deal. This is literally ancient. I've used that. Here's the issue with this one. In a way, the RCBS one is kind of better because this is kind of short from here to here for the big cartridges. You end up at the top of your press. It's only screwed in. It's only screwed into the press just a little wee bit. That other die is taller, and you can get it screwed down in there better. So I think this is going to be the very last time we see this 338 Lapua 30 degree improved. I'll tell you what would be great, but I just can't do it, is if I could, because I got 6 pieces of this brass now, that's however many, multiple times fired, I would like to send them to Warner Tool. I would like to get that set of dies back. I'd like to reload with it and then take it out and shoot it even one more time. But that's an awful lot. I mean, it's an awful lot. And I mean, we've had this gun for a long time. The customer, although he's not going to hunt right now, it's winter here, obviously. The point is, we are going to pack it and ship it. So that'll probably be the very last time you guys see it. Anyways, Happy New Year.